special Sandoval organizational meeting for the 2021 Board of Directors. The live stream is simulcast on Sandoval's official communications Facebook page, Sandoval Cape Coral. Also on Sandoval Neighbors Synergy. Alternate viewing of this meeting is also available for your convenience 24/7 on our YouTube channel, Sandoval Video Box, and on Sandoval's website, www.livesandoval.com. Consider subscribing to support Sandoval Video Box on YouTube by clicking both the subscribe button and bell to be notified of future meetings and presentations by Sandoval Communications. The meeting will begin shortly. Sandoval Communications thanks you for your support and participation by watching this meeting.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's organizational meeting with your new 2021 Board of Directors. And we have a quorum established. Thank you for everyone's short notice showing up. And we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 4:04. And with that, we have an announcement to make that we had Al Roper turn in his resignation effective immediately, so we wanted to let the community know that and thank him for what a big asset he's been to the board and many different committees, and so we thank him. We will hold in the very near future, we'll have to do a post notice, and then we'll hold a meeting. That means there's a seat open on the board, obviously, and so that'll need to be filled, and so we'll do a post notice for this open position where the board will decide who will fill that seat. So that is some new news there. And the purpose of this meeting is to establish the officers' positions for the board. I passed out some of the officer roles. We have the president role, the vice president role, the secretary role, and the treasurer role. So those will be, if you look down the agenda, the first one will be the election of the board president. What I'll do is pass out papers and everyone can write down their yes or no for whoever is motioned and second. And then when we go into a vote, if we get to that place, then you'll write down your answers. I'll collect them. It'll be a little bit of a silent vote going on. And then I'll read those out loud, and we'll see where we stand. So with that, any other questions or anything before I start passing out the voting slips? I'm just going to do. Or if you wouldn't mind passing those down. Okay. Anyone need a pen? I think you guys all have pens.
Passing 4 down. 4?
No, for you. You take 4.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Sorry.
Okay, well, here.
What's that?
1, 2, 3, 4. I thought we were doing one at a time.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
We'll figure
I'm
it out.
glad someone thinks like you. Okay.
Okay, so the first election that's up is for the officer position board president. And if someone would like to make a motion for someone, I didn't know. Kathy?
I'll make a motion. Gary Cootie for president.
Okay.
I
Second that motion?
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
We're gonna
Go around, just write it down.
You should write it down.
Yes.
just a yes or no.
Yes or no? Yeah, folding, perfect. Awesome, thank you, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. We have a yes. We have a yes. We have a yes. We have a yes.
Your plans.
We have a yes. And we have a yes. So, passes.
Congratulations.
Bravo. Okay, second. And we have 6. All right. Next, we have the position of vice president. So if someone would like to make a motion.
Lori Bernard.
Okay, Lori Bernard nominated for vice president by Anita. Does anyone want to second that?
I will.
Okay, Dawn. And now we'll go around. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
No.
reach in front of you.
Is that Gary's as well? Can I have Gary's? Oh, perfect. Two. Thanks, Dawn. Thank you. Okay. All right. We have a yes. We have a yes. We have a yes. A yes. We have a yes. We have a yes. Motion passes. All were in favor, 6-0. Congratulations, Lori.
If we can keep this up, we might have an easy year.
Okay, next position of officer is the treasurer position. Someone would like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion for Anthony Lukanowicz. Anthony is a CPA. You have his CV or resume in front of you. I think that he would be an asset to the board and that he would be concentrating on our financial aspects and not have to be burdened with any other thing regarding the board. I think he'd be a positive addition.
Extra one left that you brought.
I didn't get one. I didn't see
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. You can have my
Maybe he is willing to serve.
Have you seen this before? Have you seen this?
Yes.
Have you seen this?
Yes.
Have you seen it
Yeah. You don't have it now.
before?
I have it now. No, I
No.
I was on the tape.
Has he served on any of the Sandoval financial committees?
Well, I don't know.
He is a resident, correct? Hopefield? So he has not served?
I don't know.
This is a big responsible position, and I think someone who was previously elected or a previous board member that's been previously elected or somebody that served on the finance committee would be a strong candidate for consideration.
We should have a second before we have a discussion.
Oh, okay.
Motion by Dawn. Anthony, anyone second the motion? We have a second by Lori. Okay. And then we will, you want a minute to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to
okay.
vote on this one. I've never even.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
so.
It's a lot of information. We potentially could table it, but that's up to the board.
We'll wait.
Don, did you come across this? Like, how can you tell us anything about him or where this came? Were you the one that presented this?
Well, I presented it, but I think he's talked to Gary.
I talked to him to see if he'd be interested.
Okay.
Yes, I talked to him a couple of times. He is obviously interested and would accept the position.
Can you tell us anything about him?
Other than what's on here, no.
Do we know how long he's been a resident?
No. Yeah, I think he's been in here several years, so.
If he's on health, unless he bought from somebody else, otherwise.
It doesn't show any accreditations. I mean, do you see? I don't see any.
Is he a CPA?
Yes, he is.
I don't see it on here, but I might be able to looking at.
I guess from my perspective, I mean, I definitely want to read through. It's, you know, a lengthy resume and stuff. Do either one of you feel comfortable voting on this right now?
I do.
I do. I'm looking at it that this is CFO, and I just glanced over it relatively quickly, but he was a controller at an HR manager of a $36 million electronics firm. He was a $10 million CFO for a $10 million engineering, design, and CAD service company. I just glanced quickly, but an accounting manager. I feel comfortable voting on him.
Well, my position is, I can offer an opinion, right?
You can offer an opinion. I was going to read the definition of the treasurer so everyone understands the, and then if you want to offer that. The treasurer shall cause to be received and deposited in appropriate bank accounts all monies of the association and shall disperse such funds as directed by the board, sign or cause to be signed all checks and promissory notes of the association, cause to be kept proper books of account and accounting records required pursuant to the provisions of Section 72303 of the Florida statutes. Cause to be prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, all financial reports required by the Florida statutes, and perform such other duties as required by the board. And I guess without, just try to help a little bit with the connecting.
I think consideration should be previous financial committee experience, familiarity with Section 720 of the Florida statutes, somebody who's been involved in the process before. So looking at this, it's hard to assume, but 2016, he was still in Ohio, so 17, 18, 20, maybe 4 years a resident here, if that's true, I don't know. But again, it's a huge responsibility, and I think someone who has previously been involved, possibly as a board member or as a finance committee member, should be considered as well. Your thoughts on that?
It's up to you.
Well, you can go a vote.
Yeah. Somebody has another nomination.
Could it be a co-treasurer? Like say, I take the position because I'm on the board, but he's going to work with me.
Well, being on the board, you can work with the treasurer. You're, you're
Well,
whatever your
only
position.
just to get
sure.
it all in.
No, I think that's great to have some,
Well, he could be a finance, if you want to be the treasurer, he could be on the finance committee.
No, I'd rather him be the treasurer, at least till I know it. I mean, I'm good with numbers and I've done that, but I don't want to take on the whole responsibility now. So I would work with him on it.
How does that work when we get into executive session or anything like that? Is the treasurer, if it relates to the content are they involved? Is it totally external?
To my knowledge, it's the board. If there's something legality-wise, things like that of confidential nature, there's only those couple different protected ones, then that would just be the board of directors.
Right. And he's not entitled to any votes. He's not a board member.
No.
Right.
Correct.
Right, it would just be an outside.
I mean, our bylaws state that the
Right.
president
Yes.
and the vice president need to be a
Right.
board member.
Article 3:1.
The secretary and treasurer do not have to be.
Can be an eligible member of the community.
Correct.
Yes.
So,
I think we're looking at a situation where we have experience. I think that it's much more than the experience of anyone sitting at this table, and I think that we should, avail ourselves of an opportunity of someone willing to do it.
So practically wise, and this is, I'm not a part of the board, I respect that, but as far as, I would say managerial wise to look into is insurance, what the D&O covers. Does the D&O cover this person? That would be a pretty big inquiry. I don't know if anyone knows that for a fact, but that would be important if you're handling the association's finances.
They are appointed. It says in the bylaws that they are voted on by the board. So by that statement, it would give you the, I think, the impression or the authority that they were a part of the board.
Directors and
so
officers.
I don't see that would be an issue.
Okay, so that's the only thing that popped in my head as far as that goes.
yeah, the D&O, that would be something to look at. And I don't know, I think it might be worth canvassing the former members of the Finance Committee and former board members to see if there's interest.
I would like to call a vote.
Okay.
Have you seen this before? Have you?
No.
You haven't read this at all. You haven't picked up
I've
the
read it
paper
here.
yet.
I've
I
read
mean,
I read it here. I have talked to him. Yes.
so previously. So okay. So I mean,
I'm-
just this is the first time I'm seeing it.
I am comfortable with him.
And you could be because you've actually digested some of this information.
Right.
You know, I mean, we can have a vote. I think it's pretty obvious the way it's going to go. Just he might be totally fine. This is like throwing a dart at the wall to me because I haven't seen any of the
Right.
information.
Yeah, and I think accreditations would be helpful.
But I think by looking at this, he definitely has the experience behind him. And I think that
No,
that's what we need.
The thing that
this is
impressed
my
me with him
first
was
as
his
well.
experience in budgeting and dealing with budgets, and I think that that's something that would be very crucial for us here.
Do you know where that's outlined on here? I mean, I'm just skimming it.
Under responsibility for all accounting, treasury, and HR
associations
functions,
before?
including
One. Okay.
general and
Did you not
project
see it?
costs, financial statements, annual budgets, variance analysis, budget versus actual results.
Which bullet?
And that was it's the second bullet.
Okay.
Tax administration of personal income tax returns for the owner of the company. That's interesting.
Melanie back here too. She's talking about
My Google.
developing staff department budgets and financial forecasts, preparing monthly operating statements, and analyzing variances from budget.
This would be the person that would be approving invoices that come through. This would essentially be what Built Up was doing. And so all the...
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis. So, I mean, again, without speaking to him, but just availability wise, this is 3 times a week that they get. It's constant being available, so I'm sure you guys asked him or someone has his availability.
He's willing to accept the position.
Okay.
The motion has been made and it's been seconded. Do we have to?
We can get.
You can
With
vote.
all the questions.
You can go ahead. I mean, does anyone have anything else for discussion? The vote, otherwise, the vote will be made. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We have a yes. We have a yes. Have a yes. Have a no. Have a yes. Have a no. So it's 4-2. So the motion passes. And what was the name?
Anthony Lukanovitz.
Sorry.
You got it? Yeah, thank you. Voted in as the Sandoval treasurer. Okay. We have done. Wait a second. And that was 4-2. Okay. Next position is election of secretary. If someone wants to make a motion. Lori?
I'd like to nominate Melanie.
Second it.
I do not want it.
Okay, that's declined, so motion fails.
I nominate Anita.
Okay. Kathy nominates Anita. Second? Anyone?
I'll second.
Second?
You.
Accepting the position?
we
Wait, vote.
For
Sorry.
discussion, is there any, do we just vote?
Well, you can discuss it if it's on the. Who did Lori nominate? Or-
Melanie. Oh.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm going to make that statement.
Okay, thank you. Would you mind passing those?
Thank you.
Okay. We've got a yes, a yes, a yes, a yes, a yes, and a yes. Passes.
Congratulations.
0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a side note in regards to the treasurer position, I think that everyone will be comfortable as long as everything conditionally wise as far as paid up to date and anything like that for the other resident, because we did all the backgrounds as far as that goes with the new candidates that joined. So we'll want to do the same
It's reasonable.
for the new
Yeah.
treasurer. Okay, the next item, I'd like to actually at this time ask the board to approve management. We'd like to present to the new board for approval the plan to solicit volunteers for standing committees. I passed out those current standing committees. We'd like this approval now at this meeting in order to have the responses back for the volunteers ready to present to the board at the March 25th meeting. Management will start soliciting if the board approves tomorrow, March the 11th. We'll send out a notice and do that for about 2 weeks, bringing in those residents that would like to volunteer.
I'll make a note that the projects committee has traditionally been Jim Swiggert's committee of one, and as far as a solicitation for that, I don't think that would be necessary.
Okay. Have you spoke to Jim on that?
He'll do it.
Yeah.
No, did he
I
want
think we need-
additional?
I think-
It's soliciting to see
Well,
if
he's had it for several
Yeah, he
years.
was-
Right, but I think we need to
Wanted.
document the process, and he's going to be 85.
I guess I was more so
I know.
soliciting to
Doesn't
see who's
matter, though. He's a
interested
small
to
fan.
help
He does
those
a
that
good
are already
job.
doing it,
He-
not to replace necessarily,
Right.
but just to bring to the board those that are interested in the, say, stormwater drainage. Maybe he wants an assistant to help him set and create messages that to give to the office, or not negating all of what he's done in his position. I surely would think that the board would want to
did a
keep
lot
him
for
in
this
his
community.
position. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is just solicitation for new people that maybe are interested in jumping in and assisting, is what the solicitation would be.
Right. We want to be inclusive.
I don't have a problem putting a solicitation out. I mean,
It's just a solicitation to see what residents are interested in.
So it'd be 2 weeks, basically do what, Wednesday, the day
Like, we
before
need to revamp up the communications committee, we need to revamp up the social committee.
and everybody has to reapply.
Everyone needs to reapply
Or-
and to state their interest. And then if it's a given of who's already been in that position before, that's up to the board to say, we've really enjoyed their contributions. That's not what the solicitation is, to start picking and choosing who's the chairperson. But we also need to find out which board member is going to be the liaison for each committee as well. So there's this is the first step of the process.
How many people for each committee? Is it?
They each have their own
It's
charters.
written in the charter.
Yeah,
It's in
it's
there?
online.
Okay.
It's all online.
All right. Yeah.
what about the ad hoc committee, like the clubhouse committee?
Those are, and I didn't finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
Okay.
that's okay. I also was asking for the board, I'd like to solicit for the neighborhood liaisons as well as primary and secondary positions, not carrying over those resident volunteers. Residents volunteers must put forward new names wanting to be considered for the 2021 Board of Directors to review. So in addition to the current list, we have standing ad hoc committees that are, and please correct me if there's any I've missed, the Construction Committee, Telecommunications Committee, Pickleball Committee, and TM Litigation Committee. Are there any other ad hocs?
Can you repeat those again, please?
So you have the construction, these are ad hoc for the driven purpose of one item. Construction,
Yep.
telecommunications, which I referred to originally, CenturyLink Ad Hoc Committee, and then pickleball/tennis, and then we have the Taylor Morrison litigation.
Yeah, the capital improvements is finished. Oh, and risk management. Is it-
That's on the actual
Oh, it is? Okay.
standing
There's an
regular.
insurance committee.
That's risk. There is an insurance committee. I don't know why it's not on this. It's not. It shouldn't be an ad hoc. Insurance would be ongoing. So do we want to add that to the?
Or make the
Standing
risk
list?
management and the insurance a subcommittee of, I think the same people are involved with both.
And so maybe it was
I
like
think
that.
would be more
Okay.
appropriate.
I think the insurance was the ad hoc because of the 222 timeline.
Oh,
Was it?
okay.
It was a committee that we
Listed.
appointed
Yeah.
because we had an issue right after the new board was formed with insurance policy.
Okay. That makes sense. So then that probably was your sub of the risk.
So,
Okay.
well, I think the risk management committee, I think that was developed during the year too.
Okay.
I don't think that was in the
So at this time,
And risk management is on here now? I forgot.
yeah, I saw. Yes.
Casey, you indicated in the previous conversation, the risk management committee would be one to be looking over the areas of
They
traffic
do
control.
currently. With the with the speeding, we wanted to that at the next board meeting. We'd like to
Shouldn't it be security?
ask.
Security
What
committee.
about,
I think that's more in the security.
Security committee.
So,
Okay.
risk
That's what I
management.
would
We'll
think, too.
decide that that's going to be an agenda item, and then at that time the board can decide where it should fall and stand up that committee.
and
I
what
mean,
about?
what the risk management people do is they're divided up the community and they walk every area. They look for the problems, they identify them, they write them down, and then that's turned into management, which we expect them to be corrected,
Which I was.
which we had not done in the past. And I
And-
think it's also prudent to note that all sidewalks in the community are walked, not just the esplanades. We are in charge of all of those, so they all need to be evaluated.
Yeah, Gary's specific question was where will, when we get to the agenda item of the speeding stop signs and such, which committee would that potentially fall under? And we have not designated a specific committee just yet. Maybe the board decides that it's a subcommittee.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss that.
Okay.
I don't think I would
And what
tax
about,
the risk
So
management.
that at another meeting, we'll bring up.
One of the obviously hottest topics is past several years has been gate strikes and the malfunctions of the gates. And I don't know if we develop an ad hoc committee to just study that, and that alone, I think would be very prudent
Could
for us
you
to
make
do.
the security committee security and safety? I mean, I think that's the way it was in the past.
I thought we had a safety. Was it
Well,
part
it
of
was
security?
It was security and safety.
Yeah,
I
we
think
can-
that if you put that
I would
definition
support
to
that.
it, then it becomes
to amend it
fairly
to
obvious how it should work.
I've somehow lost my. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll do.
Yeah, we could discuss
Yeah, that
that. I'd
makes
almost
sense.
rather carve the gates out and do its own. That's going to be a mammoth undertaking.
Okay. So if the board approves, is everyone
So again,
good for solicitation, sending out, getting feedback? We'll get the different stacks out of who wants for what. And we always encourage residents, if you would include just a short little few lines of why you would be interested, and your experience, what you'd bring to the committee. And then we'll go over, once those are established, we'll go over with the committees and sit down and revamp that. It should be a good experience for everyone that's serving, and they should be happy in that committee. And so that's important to keep.
You're
Yes.
going to solicit this
So-
for 2 weeks,
So
and
I'm-
then everyone will submit their
Interest.
interest, and then it goes to the board to decide.
the board
And
to
that's prior,
approve
and that's prior to the
the 25th.
25th.
Correct.
So I make the motion that we authorize Casey to solicit tomorrow via email on both neighborhood liaisons, one message, and then a second message for standing committees.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Right.
This way there'll be no interruption, you know. Or
Okay,
continuation.
great.
Very good.
And let's see. That's all that I had at this time. I don't know if there was anything else. And if not, if someone would make a motion to, does anyone else have anything else?
I do.
Don? Okay.
I think that it's important that we have a special meeting in the very near future to come to some conclusions regarding the internet and cable. If we wait until the 25th of March and then have a discussion of this, I think it's, if people are going to be streaming, I think that at 40 megabytes, it's way too low, and I think there has been some talk with some of the contact with CenturyLink that could be raised to 200. And I think to not do that, I think, you're looking for, I equate it to where at Niagara Falls, and we're on the river, and we're floating along here. It seems calm as can be, but
doesn't seem
on the
calm.
31st, you're going down the falls. And I think we should definitely consider a meeting before the 25th for that. I also think that at that particular time, if there's been enough time to find out as someone to replace Al Roper, we could possibly do the two things at the same time.
That's up for the board discussion, but yes, Gary.
Well, with Al gone, that's obviously going to hurt us as far as him managing that committee. Just from watching over the last year, Melanie, you seem the most technologically advanced of anybody here. Would you be willing to assume the liaison of that committee?
I can be liaison of that.
I think you'd be an excellent choice for it,
Thank you.
and at least would keep the ball moving forward.
No, I
And
agree
they have
with
a
that.
meeting Thursday. We were hoping to get, they were hoping Thursday Zoom call. I can get you that information.
Yeah, if you let me know.
With Craig, and then the goal was to gather that, basically kind of wind it down for the board, for them to present to the board at a meeting, which that absolutely a
Has there been
special
any
meeting.
information from Rob Caves regarding his contact with CenturyLink?
Has there been any information?
He sent the letter. We agreed to
Yes.
send the letter. What has there been a response?
I have not read the response yet from them. I sent a request.
We have a response?
I can't.
I mean, I think that's critical.
It was either this morning or this afternoon he sent it back to me, and with getting here I haven't read the actual letter. So I do have a question for the board. Typically with legal, we don't share with the committees. There was a letter that was sent to CenturyLink on behalf of Caves. Does the board, would they be okay with sharing that letter just to the committee? What was sent to CenturyLink?
I think we would have to, with
I
that,
don't
just
have
that
the
committee,
function
right?
without
I mean,
knowing.
wouldn't
Okay.
we need to?
Okay.
And I could
No,
you send the
just-
response to Caves to the
But-
board?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I forward that. I will forward that email to you, and then.
What's the alternative? To provide a summary to the committee, but not the actual content of it? Like, how does the committee make a decision?
Yeah, I don't, when it's, they've all agreed to confidentiality. There
Right.
was a little bit of there was some not with the committee, but.
confidentiality? Did they sign?
No, they never sent
Well,
back the request.
I can't see where that committee is a confidentiality. I mean, there's some things that I think are legal. I don't see anything that they're
There's-
dealing with that would be confidential.
And that's
So I don't see why they would have to sign confidentiality.
because of the potential legality. This potentially could be some type of lawsuit
Well,
down the road.
Then the letter.
And that's not
I don't
from
see
me.
where that. I don't see where that's an issue either.
Okay.
And
I think we want to make sure that accurate information is also getting out to the community at the right time.
Right.
You know, I mean, even with an RFP process, we all signed confidentiality
Right.
agreements.
Because the responses came in saying that it was privileged information, it was, like trade secrets, and they were giving costs, and they were giving numbers and percentages that we had to treat each one individually, and it wasn't open for discussion. We raised that at our meeting. You did.
Yeah.
The need for, and that the volume of information will not be shared.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to make
But
sure that
we
when we're
laid out our
sharing
methodology.
information, just that when we're sharing information, that it's timely and that it doesn't send the community into a spin.
Right.
Well, doing nothing is going to send them into a spin, and that's why I'm advocating we get something out and decide something, before.
So that-
Are we going to
30th.
talk about sending them, reducing each
Well, I think that's part of it, and
Yeah,
I
that's
think
why I wanna make sure
that
that
should
was
be discussed too. And
Yeah.
if we get an agreement to raise the speed and get some information from CenturyLink, I think that the 1st of April we could definitely reduce HOA fees by $30 a month. I mean, depending on what the numbers are.
We got to see what the CenturyLink
So why,
charges are and what the settlement is.
Why don't we tentatively? I don't know what
I
everyone's
don't think
schedule
you'll have a
look like.
settlement, but
Not a settlement, but what they
agree
once,
to.
once they do
What they
their
propose.
calculation.
Sorry, I know
Nope,
for interrupting Casey, but we would also have to do a new budget at that point.
We'd have to
no,
amend
you just have to amend the budget.
amend the budget.
Right.
Which would still be the
Which would take
process.
time,
Oh,
right? I mean,
yes.
I don't want to
Mail
commit
out.
to an April timeline
Right.
and have people
Well, I'm just
expecting.
telling you that
Right.
the
Well,
residents
just
will
14
be
days
due
just
a
to mail
refund
out
if
the
the
Right,
budget.
that's
prison
why,
goes dark on
just
April
throw
1st.
these random
Yeah.
dates out.
Right.
That
No,
more people
what I
It
can-
may
would-
be retroactive.
What I would
Right,
like is,
Well, I just think don't drag it out.
No.
what does everyone's
talked about
schedule look
July.
like for Monday if we are able to do the meeting in regards to the open position
I'm
of the
gone all
board?
next week.
You're gone all next week. Are you able to join a Zoom call at all for
No.
the CenturyLink? Okay, but we can still, the board can still have you're gone too? Okay.
And what time are you talking about?
Well, the special meeting that Don just brought up that he wants to do quickly.
You still need
we
to
need
do
to
it.
have
Yeah,
four. We need to have
definitely.
4.
What time do you plan on?
I don't
a
have any
doctor's appointment
plan.
on Monday.
I have-
It depends on the logistics. We could probably do a Zoom call.
So we would need 4 board members available.
Are we talking about the 50? Are we talking about the 50?
Right, and I would have to check with the committee and make sure they have enough information to present to the board to make a decision. And it really
I mean,
would be
I'm
important
joining
for
this
you.
Thursday, tomorrow. Is
Yeah.
my first kind of getting involved with the committee. So,
Yeah.
and then I won't be here next week. I mean, not that the committee can't. The committee could probably
No,
preside.
I think,
The committees are recommending,
I mean,
and I think
Steve,
something that is very important
RFP,
to
the
take into
tutorials.
consideration. Just a minute. I think there's something that we need to take into consideration is that they're looking at the technology, but we as a board need to look at the technology and also the financial repercussions of some decisions that are being made, and the fact that if some of these decisions are made, then that would actually require an increase in the budget because there is not funds to cover the total cost. So I think there's a lot involved with this
Yes.
that I don't know that the committee and their recommendation dealing just with technology is what the board needs to evaluate to make a final decision.
But is that what you're wanting this special meeting for?
Well, I
Just
just
to
think that we
evaluate
need.
to
I
make a
just think
final
we need to
decision?
let the people know what's happening. We can't just continue to keep them in the dark.
So,
People
not
are getting
necessarily
anxious.
be ready to vote on anything. Do a special meeting to communicate an update, or, I mean, does it need to be, or are we looking for the committee to work on a communication to be sent out? I don't know.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to understand is what is the goal of having a meeting if we're not voting on it? Like,
I just think you need to have some kind of format, whether you let everyone know where we stand, kind of where we're heading, what the options are. I mean, there's been bits and pieces, but there's never been a sit-down discussion and an evaluation as to how you came to these conclusions. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces. But
what if there was like a Q&A?
I mean, there's things that I haven't seen.
What if you came up with a few questions that you think are important?
I just think an open discussion where you're able to talk about it, and something that you write on paper gets tainted by opinion.
Wouldn't one of the major things, though, be dependent really upon what CenturyLink is willing to do for us?
The CenturyLink piece is critical here.
That to me would
Correct.
be the first thing that needs to be done before we start
I mean, it's a letter I read,
evaluating all of
30
the
seconds after I got
options.
right.
Right.
Well, it could run into, we just stick with the internet and everybody's on their own and we look at a reduction. Or I think another thing they were looking at was bundling with Comcast,
Right.
which could be an increase.
Right.
So we just need
Or any of the other streaming
the
companies,
AdCom,
but that would take 6
AdCom,
to
the
8
DirecTV
months.
was an increase. All these others, there's
Right.
just to
It
be
was all between
determined whether you need to put
65 and 80 bucks.
new cable in, new
The
fiber.
The infrastructure.
So-
A lot of people are already getting that
YouTube
streaming.
They're streaming.
Well, the
and
committee-
if people are going to stream for 3 months,
They're not going
they're not going to want it then change.
Right.
I'm agreement like Don said.
I think
Just-
I personally think there's something to be said for us, not liking to change, but we're going into technology that is mainstream at this point. And I think some of the people that don't live here full time, they don't have to have a streaming service the months they're away. I think they can also possibly use the same service whether they're away or at their home by the number of devices.
Yes.
And I think something that is very critical that Laurie had mentioned is there is a way to help educate. I mentioned last time getting a video up so that people knew. I think there's a company that comes in and helps people. Can you explain a little bit about that streaming service that you sent with the email?
No, I don't really know that much about it. I was talking to someone, and they said that there was a company that was able to produce a video
Right.
that would tell.
Well, and they might
People on a
maybe
very-
be here. I mean, if it costs us a few dollars to get everyone educated, I'm not opposed to that either.
Yeah, that was shared with the committee.
There's a lot of people
I did
afraid.
share that with the committee.
Yeah, but I mean that's the kind of stuff that we need to get going if we're going to do it. I mean,
Right.
don't wait till there's 2 days
what
left.
do we have, 2 weeks? left?
Yeah,
But
All
I
over
know
2 weeks?
I know when Steve was here in the room with us and he was briefing and he talked about some of the short term or bridge or gap is what he said, that we go dark on the 31st, that residents need to be prepared. Right now it would be 6 to 8 months for some of these companies such as Summit, Hotwire, Blue Stream, I think it was the third one, and even Comcast with the infrastructure to get a contract in place, negotiated, there would be a period of time.
I mean, I think
Secondly,
that you get busy with that.
Scott asked the question, what is the typical contract terms? And they were all between 7 and 10 years with a 4 to 4.5% escalation. So that's a standard business industry practice. So everybody was naysaying about that. So again, the recommendation was that residents should be looking to do the streaming or get a high definition. Some suggestions were put out in that matrix. I know residents were sharing some of the YouTube. There's trial periods now with some of the streaming that people can experience and explore.
But I think it's also important that people that are really apprehensive about what streaming is about is that we need to help as a board to provide them with some information or opportunities of some of these things that I've seen mentioned and we need to do that yesterday.
Right, and I think that's part of the meeting tomorrow is the tutorials that Al talked about and Al said they were working on.
Okay.
So
But again, when you're talking about the gap and streaming with a gap, what we have now, 40 megabits,
It's
is
got
not
to be
going to do
increased.
it.
It's
And I
got to be
think
It has to be increased.
I think the challenge, and I think it was that with CenturyLink, it was if you're going to change it, you're signing a new contract. Was that
Well,
was
I think
right?
that's
We
a
were starting
negotiation
into
that you
another.
would have by your attorney.
Right,
Yeah.
we were
Right.
starting to go into another 10 years, so they were not going to push that. But I do think we should probably go back and say, I don't know if we can pull in and say, you faulted on this contract. You were supposed to be
Well,
providing
that was in
TV.
Yep.
the letter.
Well, I think that's
They were-
exactly.
they were put on
and
notice.
then we need to have our attorney negotiating and getting some of these things out to them, and possibly they were going to provide some Roto boxes or some things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't think I might have a little knowledge of that no one knows.
Do we know whether Mr. Kays responded to you regarding those issues?
Well, she got the letter,
Just
but she
today.
hasn't read it yet.
Okay.
It was.
Can
what,
we
5
get
minutes before
copies
this
of
call?
his
I mean,
response?
This was today.
Yeah, I think he sent it today. I'll forward it on.
I'm
I
not sure it's 5 minutes.
wanted to,
Sometime during the day.
or yesterday, late
Yeah.
yesterday. It's not for lack that it's not important to me. I will forward it to the committee now that the board is okay with that. I think that's great as well. So I'll forward those two to the committee
And the board.
and the board.
Okay.
The board's seen the first letter, so the second letter we'll forward it on.
But we haven't seen it yet. We haven't
don't.
seen it.
That's
You have to
correct.
send it to us.
And now
So
that
you'll
you're
forward it
requesting it,
on.
I'll absolutely
Yes.
forward anything
Thank
you
you.
want.
So I guess my question goes back to the goal of this special meeting for next week. Neither one of us are going to be here for it. So what is?
I think what
So I
needs to
think-
be determined is how you're going to help people set up some streaming or some bridge with that they know there's a go-to place or a go-to company or a go-to video, so
Right.
that it will help them. So they're able to keep their TV going when
Right.
this goes
So-
out. That's
So
what
it's
I
a
think we need to do.
communication more than a meeting.
Well, I think we need to communicate that we're willing to help them.
Well, we have, and
the chair can
the chair-
brief and bring people up to date. Number one,
Right.
in a Zoom call. If it
We
can
haven't,
work that.
because we had this meeting, we talked about it, and we didn't have.
And then-
now we're here, and it's 2 weeks later.
The committee's been working behind the scenes. They're having their meeting Thursday. Asked them, are they ready to
Tomorrow.
present to the board anything? They were like, not just yet. There's
Well, I can't see the delay myself.
And also, if we're going to give them back money, that has to be in the works too.
Well, that's true.
We have to see what adjustment is made by
But
Century.
the most
we have to
critical
amend
thing
the
is to keep their
budget.
TVs
So
going when they're doing
it'll be
something new
the
that they don't
quarter
know how to do.
before anything is done.
Keep in mind too, there was, in talking to people leading up to this, there's a lot of people that want a bundle that I talked to, and
Yeah, it's pretty split.
and even we have to communicate to them that even if that was a possibility, that's not happening for 6 months, maybe longer.
And it's a 10-year
And
commitment,
it's-
7
yeah,
to 10-year commitment.
And if
I don't think
most
those
likely-
things will be around in 10
Well,
years.
I know I'm not an
Exactly.
advocate,
Right.
but this
Yeah,
is
that's
this.
right.
No,
And
I'm just making the
With
statement.
Al shared the matrix.
And Comcast, who wants them?
That's what we're
Same
gonna-
thing
we
as
have to
the-
That's what you got
Link.
away from.
And I think if you have a video,
That's why I really think that we
That's
need to
true.
help educate our fellow
Exactly.
residents on how to use this streaming,
Yeah.
because once they
The
get
links-
used to it, it'll be work out fine.
Right.
Yeah.
The links were provided. I know. I talk to people every day on my walks, and people are exploring. They've made their decisions. Neighbors are helping neighbors.
So after tomorrow's call, and we talked to the committee, are you on that call? Okay, so after tomorrow's committee call, can we reassess on what information they are ready to have a special meeting? Or if that's a communication out? Like, I just,
Yeah, I think
I
the
don't want to call a
tutorials-
meeting if we don't
Well, why
need
don't you-
to.
well, I think that you need to. We all need to see what the information is, and then figure out how we can best facilitate helping our fellow residents.
Yeah.
A couple of residents made themselves available. So maybe with the tutorials.
And the company that you could possibly pay some to help some of these folks.
and I think the residents who really want to go bulk again may change their mind if they have some good tutorials that show you how to stream, how it works. I am a techno nothing. And my son-in-law showed me basically about YouTube TV, and it really is simple to use. And I was surprised.
And the 2-week trial.
It's too right. If I don't like it, I'll stop.
You try something
And
else.
there's no contract required
Correct.
with any of them, of the streaming.
And
So
then I
that
need
if
to
6 to 8
communicate
months
to-
we do decide to go another path.
That's
Right.
an important thing that some
Right.
residents
It also could be
don't
cost them
understand is
$60,
that if they
$70 a
sign
month
up
more
with
than they're paying.
CenturyLink or Comcast, they might be stuck in something. So that needs to
Yeah.
be definitely communicated. I've had emails coming in, but a good way, the committee can help
But I
come
think
up
that,
with a message. for
tomorrow
that.
with the meeting, talk to the chair, telling them that we need to get before the board and the community. And the status, the tutorials, and there was, what was the third thing Al said they were working on? The RFP, the request
Oh,
for
yes,
proposal.
yes. I just saw that in the agenda.
Which is highly technical with specs and, again,
Okay. So for right now, we don't want to do a special meeting for the open position of the board
Yeah.
right away.
would you be, I know you said you both were traveling, would you be available later in the week for an hour for a special meeting?
Not during the day.
Okay, so,
In the evenings,
I think we could do it by Zoom call, which might be easier logistics-wise, and provided
I mean, I don't
Vic
think
is
we should,
available.
we should have that pick, who we pick for the member on a Zoom call.
Should or should not?
Should not.
I'm just saying for convenience, for logistics.
Yeah, but I think we all should be here for that.
Because the logistics
Is there
are...
a reason we can't discuss that now? Or do we need a special
I
meeting?
think it'd be a
all of us?
48-hour
I think we
notice.
need to think about it a little.
And it has to be a 48-hour noticed meeting as an agenda item.
Oh, because it's not
The
on the agenda for
replacement.
today.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And the 48-hour notice is a Florida statute, the requirement.
Okay.
I think what the importance is, let's say someone could, it's time constantly and not being able to make a decision and move on. So,
Right.
so before we get into the next board meeting, that really would be nice to have that filled. It's not urgent, but
It's going
is important.
to
It will
become
become,
urgent, yeah. Especially if we're going to be making decisions on CenturyLink stuff within the next.
right.
Before you can make any decision, you have to identify someone who's willing to serve in that position.
We need to see the person.
Either way, it's not.
We did just have an election too.
Right,
so.
we just, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for another time, and I'll propose to the board, as I did, with some, maybe the following week, try to do, you want to have it in person, I'm not sure, facilitation-wise, how that works, but we could possibly hold a meeting prior to the 25th, a little bit earlier than the meeting.
Is the next week is
The next board meeting, maybe do a notice where
Maybe
it's
like
like
the Monday,
30
the
minutes
22nd.
before the 25th. Well, I was thinking the same night of, just come in at 5:30 instead of for 5,
Yeah.
if that would work. Instead of doing a whole nother night just for that topic.
You're back on the 21st-ish?
Mhm.
And Don, you're back on...
I'm back that Friday.
The Friday.
Late.
Did you? I know I was late. Did you already collect this code of ethics?
Everyone's but yours. Thanks. Okay, does anyone else have anything else? And if not, if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay, second? Thank you.